Hi everybody! For this week's art activity, we're going to be making some collagraphs. And a collagraph is basically a stamp that's made by gluing things onto a flat surface to create texture. Once the collagraph has been made, there are lots of different ways to transfer that design onto a piece of paper, but today we're going to be doing a crayon rubbing. Now for your collagraph, you're going to need a couple different things. First of all, you're going to need some thin cardboard, and this is not the kind of cardboard that you get from an Amazon box. This is the kind of cardboard that is used to make boxes of cereal, boxes of granola bars. It's this really thin, flimsy kind of cardboard, and you can use any kind of box you have on hand. I'm using this little granola bar box that I happen to have. And if the box that you have is not empty, you can always empty it. I had some granola bars in here that I put into the cabinet, or if you're using a box of cereal, you can always ask a parent to help you dump the cereal into another container so that you can use the box. So a box like this, a box of pasta, anything will work. You're also going to need some glue, and I'm using a glue stick, but you could use regular glue as long as you give it time to dry. You'll need a piece of paper, you'll need some scissors, and you will need some crayons where the wrappers have been removed. So once you have all of these materials ready, it's time to get started. The first step in creating your collagraph is to find the surface that you're going to be gluing your design onto. So I'm going to be using this box of granola bars, and for my surface, I'm going to just use one side of the box. The rest of the box is going to be used to make the actual design. So I'm going to start by carefully using my scissors to cut out this one side. If you are using a bigger box, like a box of cereal, your surface needs to be something that will fit on your paper, so you don't have to use the whole box. You can cut a smaller rectangle out of it. Now that I have my surface, it's time to make my design. And your design could be anything that you choose. You could do flowers, you could do fish, you could do a mountain, you could make a house. I think I'm going to make a rocket ship on my surface, and I'm going to be using the rest of my cardboard box in order to cut out my shapes. So when you make your shapes, you're going to be gluing them directly onto this paper. Again, I'm using a glue stick, but you could use regular glue as long as you give it time to dry. And when you glue your shapes onto here, you don't want to have too many layers. 1 or 2 layers at a time will work great. Once you finish cutting out the pieces for your design, you're going to glue them onto your cardboard. And I haven't added lots of different layers to my cardboard. I'm keeping it to 1 or 2 layers, and that's pretty much it. So I have the surface of my cardboard, I have the first layer on top of it, and then in some places I have 1 more layer of cardboard on top of that. but I don't want to add too many layers or it's going to be very difficult to transfer my design. So 1 or 2 layers works the best. And once you have your design figured out, it's time to glue everything down. Once all of your pieces have been glued on, it's very important to make sure that everything has been pressed down really well and that you give it time to dry. Now that my Collagraph is dry, it's time to create my crayon rubbing. So for this, again, you're going to need some crayons where the wrapper has been taken off and a sheet of paper, and I'm just using regular printer paper. So I'm going to take my paper and I'm going to place it over my cardboard design, and I'm going to use one of my crayons on its side to rub the design so that it picks up the texture and transfers onto my paper. And it's very important that while you do this, you hold your paper as well as the cardboard underneath very still. So here I go. The great part about a Collagraph is that I can use it over and over to create new designs in different colors. So if I take my paper and set it to the side and grab a new piece of paper, I can make the same design using a new color, and I can even mix my colors for a more interesting design. Once you've finished with your crayon rubbings, you're more than welcome to decorate your designs. Okay, so I have finished my Collagraph design as well as my crayon rubbings. So now I have my Collagraph where I can feel the texture of the different shapes that I glued down. And I have my finished crayon rubbings, and some of them I used one color, some I chose to mix 2 colors together, and some I also chose to decorate using other art materials. Remember, I chose to make a rocket ship design with mine, but your design could be anything that you choose, and I cannot wait to see the amazing things that you create this week.